The hard truth about healing from depression is that it doesn't feel like healing at all. Most days, it feels like carrying water in your hands. Whatever progress you make keeps slipping through your fingers. You don't get a movie montage, you just wake up and try again. If you're somewhere between not okay and still trying, this is for you. I'm not here to sell you sunshine. I'm here to tell the truth. Recovery is uneven, slow, and often invisible. Until, quietly, it isn't. We live in a culture addicted to fast results. Break an arm, 6 weeks, catch a cold, 5 days, feel depressed. Think positive, go for a run, shake it off. But the mind doesn't heal on a calendar. Recovery from depression is more like rehabbing a fracture you can't see. Some days the cast itches, some days it aches, some days you forget it's there, until you try to lift something heavy. Then you're reminded. Strength comes after soreness. Progress is real, just not always visible. Relapse complicates the story. You string together a few good days and imagine you're back, then a wave knocks you down. Guilt arrives. Why can't I keep it together? Comparison arrives. Everyone else's life looks linear and effortless. But those good days weren't lies, they were information. They proved your nervous system can still access energy and presence. The wave that followed didn't erase the shoreline. It just reminded you the ocean moves in cycles. Society wants before and after. Real healing is before, during, and after for a while, then during again. That isn't failure. That's being human. Let's put words to what's happening beneath the surface, simply and honestly. Depression changes the brain's reward system. The signals that usually say, "That felt good, do it again," get quieter. Anticipation dulls. Effort feels heavier. This is not laziness. It's circuitry, real biology in networks that include the ventral striatum and its connections to motivation and effort valuation. Depression also carves thought grooves. Imagine sled tracks in snow. I'm broken. Nothing helps. Why try? The more you ride them, the deeper they get. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and behavioral activation, BA, help you notice the groove, step out of it, and lay new tracks through repetition. Guidelines list CBT and BA among evidence-based options for adults because they change what you do and how you appraise it. Neuroplasticity, the brain's capacity to change, doesn't switch off in depression. It needs different conditions, small actions, repeated often, that re-expose you to reward and safety. Over weeks to months, the system can relearn. Here's a relatable arc. Meet Maya. Not her real name, but a real pattern. She didn't start with a 5 a.m. miracle morning. She started with one rule. Open the blinds by 9. Some mornings, she opened them and went back to bed. Other mornings, the light pulled her to the kitchen. A month later, she added a 10-minute walk. She wasn't motivated. She was committed to tiny and repeatable. 3 months in, she noticed a subtle shift. Activities that felt pointless started to feel less pointless. Then occasionally, slightly rewarding. Not magic, just a reward system remembering how to respond. Here's the emotional truth most people skip. Recovery includes grief. For time lost, for the energy you used to have, for the version of you that couldn't show up to life the way you wanted. Some days, you'll feel 70% yourself and wake up the next at 20%. The guilt of a bad day after a good day can be crushing, but guilt is a terrible coach. Replace it with observation. Today is a low bandwidth day. My job is to dial down expectations and keep one promise to myself. If that promise is simply shower and stretch, honor it. Teach your nervous system that even on the worst days, there's a thread you can hold. Relapse isn't an if, it's a when. Not everyone has dramatic setbacks, but most of us have dips. That doesn't mean your progress evaporated. Think of healing as circular. like waves returning to the same shore. Each circle carries a little more sand back with it. The coastline changes. Healing is not becoming someone new. It's allowing yourself to feel again and refusing to abandon yourself when those feelings arrive. There's a version of you that thinks recovery requires constant strength. The truth is quieter. Recovery asks for accurate self-assessment and compassionate adjustments. That's wisdom, not weakness. I won't promise that 5 habits will cure depression. What I can say is that these 5 reliably reopen pathways depression tends to close. They're grounded in behavioral activation, CBT, and what we know about mood, motivation, and physiology. 1. Do one tiny task daily. Anchor a win. Script it. Choose something under 5 minutes. Put 1 dish in the sink, reply to 1 email, water 1 plant. Why it helps. This is micro-activation. You're rebuilding the link between action and reinforcement. Finishing anything sends a success signal and chips away at the why bother groove. Over time, completing tiny actions increases the odds you'll tackle slightly larger ones. 2. Move your body for 10 minutes. Motion primes emotion. Script it. Set a timer. Walk the block. Do gentle mobility. If 10 is too much, start with 3. Why it helps. Exercise produces a moderate, measurable reduction in depressive symptoms across many studies. You don't need a marathon. Short, repeatable bouts matter. Exercise engages reward and stress regulation systems, improves sleep quality, and gives you structured exposure to "I did a hard thing." A large 2023 BMJ network meta-analysis, 200 plus trials, found exercise effective versus control, with differences by modality and intensity. Cochrane reviews have long supported exercise as a treatment option. 3. Tell one trusted person the weather inside. Connection reduces shame. Script it. Friend, partner, family member, or therapist. Share one honest sentence. Today feels grey. I'm doing the basics, why it helps. Depression thrives in isolation. Social support is consistently associated with fewer depressive symptoms, and interventions that build connection can reduce symptoms, especially in some populations. You don't need to be eloquent, you need to be real. 4. Replace judgment with curiosity. Change the groove. Script it. When the thought appears, I'm weak for needing help, add, or what else might be true. Then write one balanced line. I'm early in recovery. Accepting help is a strength. Why it helps. Thoughts are not facts. By tracking triggers and actively testing interpretations, CBT loosens rigid patterns and reduces self-attack. Rehearsing more accurate appraisals shifts feelings and choices that follow, which is why guidelines recommend CBT for acute treatment and relapse prevention. 5. Make mornings intentional. Stabilize the day. Script it. Pick one doable anchor most days. Open the blinds, drink water, step into daylight, or write 3 lines in a notebook. If you can, wake within the same 60-minute window. Why it helps. Depression scrambles rhythms. Sleep, appetite, attention. A simple, repeatable morning cue teaches your body predictability. Light exposure and consistent routines are basic, unglamorous mood supports. Guidelines emphasize psychoeducation, lifestyle rhythms, and structured routines alongside therapy-charged meds because stability is therapeutic. None of these are shortcuts. Each is a lever you can pull with the energy you have. Some days you'll do one, some days none. That isn't failure, it's information. On your next pass around the circle, you try again. Long-term healing doesn't mean you'll never feel heavy again. It means you learn to live with your feelings, not against them. When your mind whispers, "It will always be like this," you answer, "I felt this before, and I kept going." You build evidence that your waves rise and fall. Compassion isn't letting yourself off the hook, it's keeping yourself in the story. It's the courage to set smaller goals without shrinking your worth. It's choosing process over performance, presence over perfection. If you're working with a clinician, you already know this. There are multiple evidence-based paths: CBT, behavioral activation, interpersonal therapy, medication, lifestyle supports, and more. What matters is shared decision-making with a professional who knows your history and preferences. If you're sitting in the dim light of your room, thinking you're behind, you're not. You're alive. You're listening. You've made it through every day you were certain you wouldn't. That counts. Depression says you're alone. But look around. There are people in this very comment section who will recognize your words like a mirror. There are therapists and doctors and friends who may not know exactly what to say, but who will sit with you until the words return. If this video spoke to you, share your story, one line or a page. Someone out there needs to know they're not the only one. And if you're ready, tell one trusted person the weather inside today. Keep a tiny promise. Open the blinds, drink some water, step outside for a minute of light. That isn't pretending everything's okay. That's choosing to stitch your life back together, one quiet loop at a time.